Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Naveen is here, our speaker for the day. Naveen, just wave your hand so that people can see you.
Hi.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, guys, for joining us. Just let us know if you can see both of us and also hear us perfectly. Yes. So before we begin, I would like to introduce kind of formally Naveen, who happens to my college friend and college buddy. He comes with more than 15 years of experience in uh, regulatory affairs and synthetic R&D. He has handled regulatory filings in very vast regulated and emerging markets, including Europe, Australia, Singapore, India, and other Asian and African markets. And Naveen has done his B Pharm and MTech in pharmaceutical chemistry. So please join hands and welcome, help me welcome Naveen to this webinar. And I would request Naveen to take on the stage from here and share his story and also help us understand everything about regulatory and what one should do to start a career in regulatory. So thank you so much, Naveen, for being here with us, and stage is all yours.
Yeah. So at the outset, I would say, Manoj, I really need to thank you for the very reason that you've given me this opportunity to present myself and what I do for as a professional in the industry. So, and moreover, it gives me immense what should I say, pride and pleasure to be able to speak to my alumni matter. Most of it, I think, most of the folks who are in this meeting are from GCP, as far as I understand. So, hi guys. It really gives me, it takes me back almost, for almost 17, 18 years back when I was actually at GCP and I was doing my B Pharm there, and it was a great experience. So I also would like to thank you, Manoj, for taking in all the efforts to be able to plug the gap between the academia and the industry. So oftentimes as a recruiting manager, if you ask me, I come across a lot of candidates. There are many candidates whom I have come across from GCP itself, and they are very strong in terms of their basic technical skills. That is something that I really appreciate. But when it comes to oh, coming in for the interview and being prepared for the interview, I feel that especially the freshers are kind of a lost lot, because they really do not know which profession or which field should they be entering. And so the reason could be the fact that most of the folks aren't very sure about what they really want to do, or they do not have the knowledge about what needs to be done. So just one second, let me just start sharing my screen. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible to all.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah. And most of the folks aren't focused, as I said. They aren't really focused for the reason that they do not know what what are the things that happen in the industry. So maybe our curriculum is very much jam packed with the technical skills, because pharmacy being a very vast field, I feel that even 4 years is not really sufficient, to be very frank. But that being said, I would say the students need to actually take in the efforts to know about what the industry does. And this is where I think this initiative from you comes into a picture, where it really does give the idea to the students to showcase or to know about what are the different opportunities that are there once they complete their pharmacy. And as to start off with my story, I would say as with anybody and everybody, I think most of us are pharmacists by chance, not by choice.
Yeah.
So was the case with me. I wanted to be a doctor, and I ended up being a pharmacy professional. So and it really gives me immense pride once I get into the into the profession, and once I started practicing uh, the field that where I am in. It really gives me immense pride to say that I'm a pharma professional. It is not very often that people get to showcase their learnings as part of their profession, because even when you go to the engineering fields, you will find that there are many folks who are doing really well as software professionals, but when you ask about their basic education and qualification, you will find that most of them are either mechanical engineers, civil engineers, architects. But as a pharma professional, and there are even pharmacy professional, I do have quite a few of my master's degree classmates who are into software field. Of course they do help the healthcare industry in that way. But that being said, I would say it is not really very often that we find people doing what they have learned during their college or during their academic times. So I really think that it's a great initiative by you. And as I said, coming back to my story, I would say uh, I was a pharma, like I entered into pharmacy by chance. I did my B pharmacy from Government College of Pharmacy, almost now 17 years ago, I can say. And then I did my MTech in pharmaceutical chemistry from VIT, that is Vellore Institute of Technology, Vellore. There was the reason, if somebody asked me why I did my MTech and not in MPharm, I really wanted to get into the R&D, the department where people are actually designing drugs and are able to put their new molecules in the market, and so and so forth. So those were my ideas. But once I entered into the industry, I would not really like to discourage anyone, but I found that getting into the synthetic R&D field, which is the most common R&D field that we have in India. We are as Indians, we are market leaders in generics. So there are hardly few companies who actually develop their own molecules, or who are into drug design per se. There are various factors, but we tend not to, or as Indians we chose not to reinvent the wheel, but we started making the generics of the existing molecules. And when you come into the industry, you will find that most of the industry is dominated by synthetic R&D only. So and that arena, whether we like it or not, whatever pharmacy degree we do, but that synthetic R&D domain is usually dominated by MSCs. um, so there is nothing to degrade them or anything, but I would say that they are the most apt people to do the actual synthetic R&D, because there is a specific field within when you go into the Masters of Science, that MSc Organic Chemistry. So that is what most of the drugs are organic in nature. So definitely they are the folks who do a lot better than us.
Yeah.
So of course there are a lot of pharma professionals who have entered into the synthetic R&D domain, but once you get into the domain, you will find that you are being treated as equivalent to a masters or an MSc person. So
Right.
and we being professionals in pharmacy, I would say that it would be much better if we can showcase our own skills than anything else. Now so then I entered into regulatory affairs. I did not know what regulatory affairs actually means. I actually had quite a few job offers. I had one in QA, one in QC, and one in corporate QA, and one in R&D. And of course QC was something that being I did my project as well in synthetic R&D, and I did work a part of my time there into the lab as well. Lab in the sense I'm talking about the QC lab as well. And I found that it wasn't my cup of tea. for the very reason that I had people who were much better than me in terms of now coming out with the synthetic routes for the drugs, or the molecules that they were handling, handling the intermediates and those kind of activities. So I said that isn't my cup of tea. So so QC was something that I said no to. And QA and corporate QA were two of the fields that were still open to me. And somehow it so happened that when I went for the interviews and when I got selected, regulatory affairs was the first one that they said you can join with immediate effect. Whereas the QA as well as the corporate QA, they said it will take about at least a month. And I was in desperate need of a job in those days. So I entered into this field, I would say. And once I entered into regulatory affairs, at first I thought it is just about some kind of a DTP kind of a work, where you just sit and type and type and type. Then I found that there is a lot of science behind even the typings. uh, so typing and actually compilation of the dossier, as we go through the slides, I will come to that part as well. So compilation of dossiers just forms just the 20% of what you exactly do. There is a lot more than what appears to the eyes. Is something that came to me. Then I said, okay, this is where I really want to be. So um,
What
okay.
an amazing journey, Naveen.
Yes.
And I'm sure, many of our participants here will be able to correlate with Naveen and the kind of confusions we get, soon after completing our college
Yes.
studies or, during the college studies. So,
Yes.
this is something we have to, accept ourselves that life is a learning journey, and with this right kind of learnings from people like Naveen, we could get the path for our career. So stay tuned and please make lot of notes from here on,
Yeah.
because you don't know, a single idea can change your entire career
Yes.
path,
Yes.
right? So all the best, Naveen, and please do
Yeah.
continue. I'm
Yeah.
here at the
Thank you.
back
Thank
end
you so much.
supporting for
Yeah.
the technical stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Manoj. So I would like to, just again, put a disclaimer out here, just to say that, I do not, I'm talking in my personal capacity, and I do not represent my organization's thoughts, or wherever I have worked before, or wherever I'm going to work in the future. And everything that I'm presenting here is my own thoughts and my own views. Okay. Now, what is regulatory affairs? So as I call it as a scientist's quest from the bench to the boardroom and ultimately to the bedside. So why do scientists invent something? It is ultimately so that the end user is able to benefit from it, and definitely there is some kind of a commercial benefit that the scientist reaps out of it. So in our case, most of the regulatory work that we do is to bring about a scientist's invention from the bench. Because most of the times that I find, I see that scientists are kind of people who work in silos most of the times. Of course, the times have changed now, and there are a lot of scientists who are much more extrovert than being introvert. But most of the scientists, as I call themselves, to be working out, I would say they work from their conical flasks. So they are very confined to the lab, and they are very confined to the bench side, to say. So at the end of the day, when they come back, when they come out with a new molecule. That new molecule definitely has to have some kind of commercial value to itself. So that is where the boardroom comes to the picture. And at the end of the day, it is the bedside where ultimately the patient gets treated with that particular drug. So this is why I call it as a scientist's quest from the bench to the boardroom and ultimately to the bedside. Okay. Now, when I come to this particular webinar of ours, I would say what the areas that we are going to cover relates to mostly to what is RA, or why what is regulatory affairs, and why regulatory affairs, And what do we do on a day-to-day basis? On a day-to-day basis, if you enter into regulatory affairs, what do you expect to see yourself doing? And what are the growth potentials, both in terms of salary and in terms of your designations? And ultimately, what kind of skills does one need to get into regulatory affairs? And how does one develop these kind of skills? And which are the usual sources that from where somebody can get the idea about what regulatory affairs is all about? Now, why regulatory? As I said, what regulatory exactly means is the fact that we represent the organization where we work. So we are basically the mouthpieces of the companies. We present the company to the different authorities, who are basically the ones who actually approve our drugs in the markets. And once the drugs are approved and licensed, it's only then that a particular drug can be sold in the market. Now, if somebody asks me, where do we start from, or whatever we do, remember there is a subject called as pharmaceutical jurisprudence. uh, we hate it from the bottoms of our heart, for the very reason that there is no science involved in it. That is how, at least, it has been portrayed. I feel kind of sad whenever I see that pharmaceutical jurisprudence being produced as or portrayed as a subject which is very boring. So definitely it is, when you look at the applications of pharmaceutical jurisprudence, uh, the ultimate application of pharmaceutical jurisprudence is regulatory affairs, if nothing else. So I would say it's one of the most challenging fields that you can ever enter into, because definitely it is not something that you can do on a anybody with weak technical skills can ever do. And it also involves a lot of talking, a lot of interactions with people, lot of coordination between different teams. So we do a lot of teamwork out here. So in terms of teamwork, I would say we coordinate with the R&D, the ultimate the start as the starting points. It starts with the R&D, then the QA, then the QC, and of course our own teams. We have the corporate QC, and we also coordinate with the, different business different folks in their business development teams. And there is a lot of teamwork which is involved in regulatory affairs, to be very frank. And as I say, it's a mixture. Regulatory affairs is a mixture of all that we come through, or all that we come across from first year B Pharm until the end of our academia. Be it your just your basic bachelor's, or your master's degree, or even a doctorate or postdoctorate. So anything and everything that you learn from the first day onwards is something that always comes into the picture. So you get to see everything that you have learned from day one of your pharmacy college. So just to give an example, how many of you do remember the what should I say, definition of a syrup?
So type me if you remember the definition of syrup. This is for you all.
Yep.
Monu says yes, me. Mayank says me.
Okay. So
Only two of you. We have 100 plus participants. Shraddha, Swaroop, all of them, they say me.
okay. So ultimately it starts, because I still remember the first day of my pharmaceutics class. Our teacher came and explained what a syrup is, and more than anything else, that was the first thing that came to us. And from there it started off for me, as what regulatory affairs could be. And it also includes the human anatomy and physiology. For those of you who are very much interested, I would say it really does involve, because there are a lot of, as I say, it's a culmination of all the things that you ever come across from first day of your B Pharm until the end of your academia. And it continues still further. Once you get into the industry, it is still further, that you will come across so many situations that you can actually apply to it. And at the end of the day, when you are a regulatory professional, it gives you a sense of immense accomplishment. And by when I say immense accomplishment, it really does, I really mean it, because was when being a regulatory professional, and there was one drug that I worked upon. It was meant for the treatment of people with prostate cancer, end stage prostate cancer. And it was just in the early stages, and it was to be introduced as a new drug into India. And it was a drug which I really feel proud to be a part of that particular drug molecules authorization within India. So it was just that we completed the entire marketing authorization procedure. The client also said, with a lot of mixed emotions, of course, because we had a lot of fights going on with the client. The client would say, I will not share this data, I will not share that data, and all that. And at the end of the day, when we got the approval of it, after at the end of 18 months, after a lot of follow up with the DCGI on several occasions, going to the CDSU on several occasions, speaking to the reviewers, speaking to the drug controllers, and so on and so forth. And at the end of it, when we did get the approval, it so happened that the company where I was working at, they had a person, I mean, they had a distant relative who was actually suffering from end stage prostate cancer. And his life expectancy was hardly about, I would say, about 3 to 6 months at the max. And it was this drug that the doctors suggested. And my boss just came to me and he said, Naveen, do you remember this particular drug? I said, yes, of course. I mean, it is just very recently that we got the approval for it. And he said, that is the same drug that is being administered to this uncle of mine. And I really feel and it really gave me the goosebumps, when I really got to my boss said, why don't would you like to actually speak to this particular person? So when I spoke to him, he was like, it really increased his life expectancy from those 3 to 6 months to almost 1 year. So for a person who's been actually given a death sentence, even one day is a big thing. So I would say for this particular person, it was a big time relief, and it really did improve his quality of life. Otherwise, he was suffering from a lot of pain. And when this drug got into the market, when it was administered to him, the pain reduced, because the metastasis also subsided, and the person was able to actually speak. So that really gave me a lot of accomplishment and sense of accomplishment, to be very frank. Okay, now what do we do? If you ask me, in terms of what do we do, so we read and read and read and read and read a lot more than lot. So that is what regulatory affairs is all about. So, and we also need to interpret and apply the regulations. So as it's not just the regulations that we apply, it is also the knowledge that we gain, or we gained from the first day of our pharmacy to whatever day we are working upon. So anything and everything that ever comes across to you, we need to apply those very knowledge, and interpret that knowledge and apply it to the current situation. We advise different teams, be it the R&D, the QA, the QC, uh, and we also we advise them in terms of the existing and the new laws which are coming up. The standards keep changing every single day, to be very frank. We have a law which was applicable till yesterday may not be applicable tomorrow, or it may not be applicable today itself. And we work very closely with the R&D to ensure that any product that is about to come out into the market uh, really abides by the regulations. And we prepare dossiers. Of course, as I said, that forms only the 20% of our what we exactly do. Of course, being a starter, you may you might be working almost 80% of your time goes into only making of dossiers. But I would say, if you learn to work smart, uh, you would be you would not be consuming more than 20% of your time into actually doing, or actually preparing a dossier. We are also involved in a lot of design and conduct of clinical trials. So when I say regulatory affairs, I would say regulatory affairs doesn't just relate to the authorization of the drug. Of course, the end stage is that, but apart from that, we are also involved in the design and conduct of clinical trials. We are also involved in pre and post market safety reporting once the drug is in the market. Of course, most of us would remember that thalidomide tragedy, which started from, I think, 1957 and ended until 1961, and it destroyed almost 10,000 lives, to be very frank. And it was still more than that. Of course, the FDA as well as the European regulators of those days, they did hush up a lot of things. But to be very frank, thalidomide really screwed up the lives of thousands and thousands of people. A lot of it has been hushed up, but at the end of the day, that at least started off with the field called as regulatory affairs. So where we started regulating the drugs, we started regulating the clinical trials, uh, and which has enabled a better quality of life for the patients as well as the trial subjects who are part of the clinical trials. And once, of course, it doesn't end there. So once, it's like owning a house. Buying the house is just one part of thing, and owning the house and maintaining it on a day-to-day basis is far more tedious than just buying the house. You own the house, of course, you need some extra fittings out there. You need a clock, you need a table, you need a chair, you need some posters, you need a TV. So you keep on buying things, you keep on adding things. So in case of drugs, there are different we call any drug or any marketing authorization application to be a live product. So if it is live, definitely there would be changes from changing the tablet from a round to a capsule shape, or putting it into a capsule, or including another ingredient along with it, or changing certain of the excipients just so that the production process is more economical for us. So when I say product life cycle maintenance is another aspect of it altogether, which is what I do as of today, which is what I do or my team does on a day-to-day basis. That is product life cycle maintenance. And as I said, we also coordinate with a lot of folks out there. So we play together, and there are different types of departments. It could be the product development, quality assurance, the plain synthetic chemistry folks, the process development folks, intellectual property laws. There are a lot of lawyers also whom we come across. There are company secretaries whom we work with. We also work on a lot of non-clinical and clinical studies. Of course, there is a lot of one at the end of it all of it culminates to the reimbursement or the commercial value of the drug itself. So that is again where we come into the picture. um, of course, we coordinate with the engineering folks. As when I mention engineering, I mean to say the plant engineers, the people who actually build the plants and who maintain the plants, the civil engineers, the contractors. There are so many factors which come into the picture. So, and all of it is being orchestrated by the regulatory affairs department. It is not that you will get to work with all of them together all at once, but it there are many sequences, many chances where you would get these kind of opportunities to work with these folks. Even if there is a plant that needs to come up, it needs to abide by certain regulations, the GMP laws, the GMP standards. So you understand it as a GMP standard, but it's not the engineering folks who understand it as part of their engineering thoughts. They are always into building architectures or building strong buildings, but they may or may not be aware of the standards to which their strong buildings needs to comply to. So in terms of I would say on a typical day as a regulatory affairs professional, you would most of my time, if you ask me, most of my time goes into writing mails, reading mails, responding to queries that come from different folks. So it could be from any of these departments that as I have enlisted out here. It could be any of these departments that you would get a request from, asking for some kind of clarity or asking for your decision, or at the end of the day, you have whatever you say. If you say a yes or a no, it really matters there. So most of our day really goes into responding and reading emails, responding to queries, responding to queries from market side, from patients, and all of that. And of course, we do a lot of coordination with the sites, the manufacturing site. When I say site, it is always the manufacturing site, or it could be, if we are into the clinical field, it could be the clinical sites where the actual clinical trials are happening on a day-to-day basis. So we do a lot of coordination out there, and we review a lot of documents. As I said, we read a lot, and believe me, that kind of reading hasn't put me to sleep, on even on a single day, for that matter. Of course, reading and any other book does put me to sleep, but when I get into my form and my format of working, it never really puts me to sleep for sure. Because when I said, it's a culmination of all sorts of things that we learn from day one. So one of the primary criteria for a regulatory person is to be ever present, and to be aware of, and should have that keen, uh, what should I call it, a keen sense of observation. Key to details is something that is very, very, very important for a regulatory person. So it could be anything. Once you step inside of a manufacturing site, you might find that certain excipients, or some of the starting materials are not stored the way they need to be stored, and that you would know only if you know at least the basics of the GMP. And once you get into the manufacturing site, you will find that the machines are punching the tablets, and the tablets are coming out, you know as fast as they are coming out. And you will come across something like friability, and you will breakability, dissolution, and these are all the things which come into picture there. And so it really does matter that you understand your basic pharmacy from day one, and you are very much involved in your subjects. So that is very, very important, to be very frank. And at the end of the day, we once we get all of this information, we put all of these things together, and we craft a dossier. I call it as crafting of dossier, rather than just a plain compilation of dossier, for the very reason that making a dossier or compiling a dossier is an art which involves a lot of science. So it does confuse a lot of folks, I know, but don't be once you get into the profession, you will understand that there is a lot of science, and there is a lot of art which is involved in compilation of a dossier. So we present what is required, and we do not give out information that is not really sought out of us. So that is something very important, because if you give out certain information that is not really essential, you are bound to get more queries. More queries means more review time, and in certain cases, conducting more studies and delaying your drugs launch in the market. So definitely it does, at the end of the day, we need to make sure that the drug comes out in the market in time than anything else. So some of the basic, and if you ask me in terms of the growth potential of regulatory affairs professional, I would say uh, it all starts with being an individual contributor. So wherein you are actually just asking for the documents, you get all the orders from your boss or from the business development, and you start crafting the dossiers on a day-to-day basis. And then over a period of time, when you actually gain the skills, when you are really strong in your skills, you get promoted as a team lead, then to a project lead. Then once you get into the management, that is where I'm basically between the executive leadership and the management as of today. So the growth potential per se is boundless. There are various opportunities. At the end of the day, you could always become a great leader within the regulatory affairs or within any pharmaceutical company or a CRO company like mine, where I work at Parexel. So there are, several such opportunities that you get. So it all matters which one you want to hold on to. So, and at the end of the day, definitely, you need to have the leadership skills, because being a regulatory professional means that you are always guiding the QA, QC, the production, the R&D folks, and anybody and everybody. It is you who is going to, lead and guide those people. So you might be just on, you might have just, finished your college and you get inside of regulatory affairs. And from day one, it is expected out of you that you are able to clarify certain doubts or certain issues from the various departments. So leadership quality is something very, very important for a person to have. And what type of skills does one need in terms of soft skills? I would, basically I would put the soft skills first. So for the very reason that technical skills are something that anybody and everybody who's in who's a scholar and who is actually sincere in his studies would always learn. So that is something that I'm very sure that, technical skills are something that anybody and everybody can always, get. But when it comes to the soft skills, the person needs to be really analytical in nature, should have strategic thinking, should be able to see the big picture at the end of the day, and should have a certain amount of creativity. Creativity by uh, in the sense, what I mean by creativity is to be able to present the old data in a new format, which is really presentable to the agencies. Should have excellent interpersonal skills, uh, must have the eye to details. So the minutest things make a lot of difference in regulatory affairs. So even a comma, a full stop does really make a lot of difference. So just to quote an example, I had a patient information leaflet. I don't know how many of you must have actually read it, but whenever you open a drug, you will find a particular sheet of paper which comes out of it, which narrates a lot of things out there. So we presented this particular patient information leaflet to the agency, and the agency came back to us, said that, just because you have missed a certain comma, a semicolon, a full stop somewhere, it makes a lot of difference. So we were asked to actually revise our patient information leaflet with those kind of minutest details. So it does make a lot of difference. And one must nonetheless, uh, a person in regulatory affairs should have excellent written communication, should be able to negotiate with anybody and everybody. So it always starts from the site, the manufacturing site, as I said, the QA person out there. So I still remember when I entered into, I started working at a core pharmaceutical company, where whenever I used to give a call to the QA person, the person would always ask me, okay, Naveen, tell me now, what do you want me to change today? This is the question that he used to ask me every single time that I used to call him, because every time I used to call him, I used to say, sir, this document is not right. There is some error there. There might be a typographical error in the document that he has provided. There might be a spelling check that he needs to do. So, or there might be something grossly missing in terms of the technical part of it. Somewhere they have mentioned the loss on drying to be 5%, whereas as within somewhere in one of the validation documents they had mentioned it as, not more than 2.5%, or sorry, not less than 2.5%. So this is where, a lot of things come into a picture. So you need to actually negotiate with these folks and ensure that you get your way, and in a very friendly way, in a very friendly manner at the end of the day. And you must be, excellent in your time management. So time management is another different area altogether, to be very frank, but again, it is something that we all need to be thorough in, be it in regulatory affairs or as a student or as any other professional for that matter. We need to be really, really, really strong in our time management skills. And at the end of the day, what really pays off to being in regulatory affairs is that you need to have the perseverance, persistence, and ability to pinpoint, troubleshoot, collaborate, and coordinate and communicate with anybody and everybody. And you should really have the confidence. You will have the confidence only if you have the technical skills. So the technical skills are the ones which actually make the foundation for all the soft skills that I have mentioned here. So unless until you are thorough in your technical skills, I don't think you will really be confident in whatever you're doing. So the basic things that I would say is a very strong foundation of basic pharmacy subjects. I would say the basic pharmacy subjects, as I what I mean by those is all the pharmacies, all the subjects that you study in your B Pharm from day one until the end of your your B Pharm days. um, a thorough understanding of regulatory guidelines to start off with. For anybody, I would say please start off with ICH guidelines. If you really want to get into regulatory affairs, please start reading on the ICH guidelines. Try to understand what exactly ICH guidelines really mean. If all the guidelines, all the framework of those guidelines are very much available on ich.org. You can always get those guidelines. It's all free of cost. You can always get those guidelines. Of course, a thorough understanding of our own domestic regulatory guidelines really does pay off. And apart from that, anybody who is aspiring to get into regulatory affairs, I would say EU directives and EU guidelines are a must for them who are trying to get into the international regulatory affairs. USFDA does, understanding of USFDA guidelines does pave the way. To be very frank, being in regulatory affairs for almost now 15 years, I would say I have hardly done any kind of USFDA filings. Whereas most of my work has been limited to EU and rest of the world markets. So by rest of the world, we mean a lot of APAC markets like Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and African markets, TGA, Australia, basically. And of course, I have not worked upon China or Japanese regulatory affairs, to be very frank. So this is something that we all need to gain those kind of skills. So it does really pave the way to get into regulatory affairs. And where do we learn these skills from? If you ask me, I would say universities and colleges. So definitely whatever you're studying on a day-to-day basis does really give you a lot of ideas. All your pharmacy textbooks, journal articles, needless to say. um, Most of the websites, most of the international websites or the health authority websites, starting from CDSCO, USFDA, EMA, ICH, these are all sorts of websites from where you can learn a lot of things. Of course, as I said, we really need to be networking all the times. So when I say networking, I would say not just on Facebook, but on even in terms of real-time networking with the actual professionals, and virtually on various professional platforms like LinkedIn, or there are a few other platforms as well which you can actually explore. Online courses and webinars, a webinar like this one. And in terms of online courses, I would say I think Udemy has started off with some courses on regulatory affairs. You can always get some ideas from there. And of course, getting in touch with regulatory professionals is the ultimate way that you can actually get a lot of ideas from. So when I say regulatory professionals, I would say regulatory professionals who are working in the industry as well as in the agencies. It really does give you a lot of information offhand. Now, how do you get into regulatory affairs? I would say you need to read a lot. You need to self-educate yourself. Your own, not it's not what your lecturer or your professor says or whatever they teach that really matters, but you need to really self-educate yourself. That is something really, really important. You need to really network with a lot of folks out there. You need to find a mentor. You could always be a mentor to someone who really wants to get into the field, or if you are in the third year, you could start mentoring a person in the second year or the first year, or you could always try to help out your classmate itself. That really helps, because the best way of learning something is through teaching. That is something that I have always learned. So I would say being a mentor is as important as finding a mentor. And try to develop scientific and strategic thinking. You might get into the details all the time, but at the end of the day, you cannot forget the big picture. So that is something really important. So whatever you're doing, always be focused on the final outcome towards what you're working upon. And you need to be always, as I said, perseverance is something very, very important. So you need to really, really maintain a positive attitude, inculcate a growth mindset, and be sure that whatever you were yesterday, you're better than yesterday as of today, and better than today tomorrow. So that is something really, really important. And try to work in teams. There is as of today, I would say there is no field, including the best of the individual sports. You cannot be working in silos and say that you can win the game or win the match. So because everybody needs a mentor, and everybody needs to get some ideas. Even for Master Blaster, I suppose there was a waiter in a hotel, or an attender in a hotel, who gave him a certain idea, which actually made him win a lot more matches. So that is something really, really important. So it is always important to learn from anything and everything, and every day, every single day, try to learn something new. As of today, I am also learning something new when I'm trying to present this to you folks. So try to have that attitude of learning every single day. Whatever said and done, learn something new. In terms of formal qualifications, I would say a master's degree is something that we always prefer in any of the mainstream pharmacy subjects. So I would say pharmaceutical chemistry, pharmaceutics, pharmacognosy, pharmacology. It really does pave the way to get into regulatory affairs. And one of the major reasons why we prefer masters, if you ask me, is that the fact that a person who actually does a master's in regulatory who actually does a master's course, or a master's degree, is usually the one who is self driven. So it is not like any person who has done his bpharm is not self driven. We always try to see and try to give a chance to a person who has just done his bpharm and wants to get into regulatory affairs, but the person really needs to be self driven. I have recruited a few folks who are self-driven, who got into the in the industry, into regulatory affairs, and once they start, and they were really self-driven folks who could actually get into regulatory affairs. Those who need to be told what is to be done, those who need to be told, what is the next step for every single thing, aren't usually the ones who can actually get into regulatory affairs. To be very frank. So that is something that we all need to have. We all of us need to be self-driven. And any person who usually does his masters is the one who does a project, uh, be it an industrial project, or within the college, or wherever you do your project. uh, Most of the folks are self-driven because they need to complete their projects, and they have that kind of independent thinking, not reaching out to the lecturer, or not reaching out to their folks, their seniors, every single time that they have to do any single activity. There are instances where being I was just about 3 months old in the organization, I hardly knew much of regulatory. But my QA manager came, and he said he was much senior to me. For that matter, he was almost 22 years of experience is what he had, and I was just a small kid out there. And he came to me and he says, Naveen, can you tell me what needs to be done? Because he had encountered a certain situation where he needed a certain kind of an outlook. So he did not know it from the regulatory perspective. And when he asked me, I said, sir, I will definitely go through the guidelines and I will let you know. And that is where my boss came in and he said, Naveen, this is where you really need to learn things. So I actually, went to him. Of course, I knew what was the solution. But when I went to my boss with the problem, he said, you find out. So you have to have that mentality of, to find solutions, not just, pinpoint the problems, but also to find solutions to those problems. That is very, very important. So I went to my boss the next, like after say about half an hour or something, I went to my boss. I said, boss, this is the solution that I can offer. He just fine-tuned it in certain ways, and he said, tell these very things to the QA manager. I think he would be satisfied. And when I did say that, he was more than happy for that. So it really, paves the way. And of course, a specialization, a master specialization in regulatory affairs does really help. But at the end of the day, the person really needs to understand the basic, pharmaceutical subjects, be it pharmaceutics, be it pharmaceutical chemistry, pharmacology, pharmacognosy, anything and everything. So it really matters. So a regulatory affairs, a person with the regulatory affairs specialization without the basic knowledge of pharmaceutical chemistry or pharmaceutics cannot do, really good in regulatory affairs. They really need to, learn those skills. They really need to imbibe those qualities in themselves. Now, something very, very interesting. I think most of us at the end of the day, even if we are doing service, we do expect money in return. I would say it depends upon which type of company you're going to get into and which type of industry you are trying to get into. So when I say industry, it is all pharmaceutical industry, of course, but there are core companies, core pharmaceutical companies, smaller ones, like, which are just, which are operated out of a 10 by 10 space to anything and everything which is very, very big. So it really matters which kind of company you are getting into, point number one. And also what matters is how good you are at. So I would say for a beginner, the salary package starts anywhere from 2 lakhs to yeah, say about for 4.5 lakhs within the industry for a starter. It all matters upon how good you are, if your subjects, how confident you are in understanding and portraying yourself. So it all boils down to that. So for a beginner, I would say anywhere between 2 to 4.5 lakhs is the usual salary that anybody and everybody gets. And what kind of growth in terms of salary? I would say there are regulatory professionals who own Ferraris. So I don't need to explain it further. So I would keep it to you. So of course I do not own a Ferrari, but of course there are many folks who do, or who are probably who might own a Ferrari at any point in time. So it all matters in which industry you are getting into. So we have the CROs like Parexel, like IQVIA, like there are various other CROs, that is clinical research organizations. Though we call ourselves as clinical research organizations, we also do a lot of marketing authorization work, a lot of CMC related work. We do not have a wet lab per se, but we do documentation for our clients, various clients out there in the market, the core companies. So it all matters whether you are working for a service industry or for the core pharma company. So for a starter, I would always say try to start from a core pharma company, for the very reason that that is the place where your mistakes are always forgiven, most of the times, at least I would say. And so that is all from my end. And I would say just being good is not sufficient. So you all of us have the potential to being great. So I always say good is the enemy of great. So try to become great, if not the best, I would always say. So try to become better by every single day. So if you are good today, you may not qualified to be good tomorrow. So it's very important that you learn and you learn and you keep learning every single day, whether you are a student or whether you are an experienced regulatory professionals on the verge of retirement. So every single day. And even if you have retired also, you need to learn certain things. So it really matters. So I would say keep learning, keep growing. That's all from my
Absolutely.
end.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Naveen. You may please close the presentation.
Yes.
And thank you so much for this lovely presentation. And very, you started from the very basic and then went till in the middle of little details, and then you came to the basic qualifications, salary expectations. Most of us have that. Most of our, audience for sure they'll have that. What is the basic salary we get in regulatory? What kind of skills we need in regulatory?
Yes.
What are the type of job roles we have in regulatory? So thank you so much for that, wonderful
My
presentation.
pleasure.
And now I can say, everything about the presentation, but let's see what audience feels. So audience, for you, this is a question. How do you rate Naveen's presentation? Please describe in just 1 or 3 words. So the question is for you. Rate Naveen's presentation in
Yes, that
one
really
to three
helps.
words. Use the chat box for that. It was good, 9 out of 10. Mind blowing, it was excellent.
Oh my goodness.
100%, sir. Excellent. Great, good,
Thank you. Thank you so
insightful,
much.
excellent. Spoke the language of audience. Very informative. Good, valuable. You see the chat box.
Yes, yes, I'm seeing that.
Expecting more on
It's
Amit.
really overwhelming to see this.
Yes. So this is how our audience are. They are wonderful and they are very, very interactive. So now we'll, take up some questions which I'm sure all of us have in mind. So, for the audience, you can use the virtual hand on Zoom, and I'll give an unmuting right to you. You may ask the question directly. That way, it will be more interactive. If you want, you can switch on the video, but if you don't, that's okay, no problem. So please do ask your specific question. I'm sure the same question might be in the mind of some other pharmacy students and professionals as well. So please
So
raise your hand.
there is one very interesting question which just came up. Somebody has
Yeah.
asked whether someone with a specialization in pharmacy practice can get into regulatory affairs.
Yes.
Um, I would say it relates to both someone with the specialization in pharmacy practice as well as someone who's pursuing his or her Pharm D.
Right.
So I would say, of course, you're always welcome. But at the end of the day, are you doing justice to whatever you have learned?
Absolutely.
Because you belong to the pharmacy practice side of it. So I'm not saying that you will not find a good salary or you will not find a job, but what I'm saying is you belong to the clinical side of it. Of course, within India we do not have as much of scope for pharmacy practice or a pharmacy professional. But that being said, we also have several other areas or streams like medical writing, and we do have a lot of clinical trial, someone who wants to get into the clinical trial part of it, into a CRO. It really does pave the way for them, but a strong understanding is very, very essential. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Well said, Naveen. So this is for everyone who's, listening to us.
Yeah.
Whatever your specialization is, if you have entered, by choice or by chance, doesn't matter. Whatever your specialization is, try to search for an opportunity in that specialization, because for sure you'll be able to do much better than others in that specialization.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So thank you for answering that, Naveen. And we have Priyanka has raised the hand. So Priyanka, I'm giving you the unmuting, right? You can ask the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well,
Sir, I belong to MSc actually, but we also need guidance from people like you. So,
Yes.
yeah,
See, I would say if you are MSc in which field?
bioanalytical science is a very upcoming field, not much. Yeah,
So,
bioanalytical.
so why did you get into bioanalytical?
Unknowingly, actually.
Sorry?
Unknowingly, I got it
by chance.
Okay, by
by
chance.
chance.
Okay. So see, I would say, of course, you can get into regulatory. There is nothing to say that it is bad or something. But as of today, if it's an upcoming field, why don't you target companies which are involved in bioanalyticals? There are a lot many companies, and I do feel that it's one of the most upcoming fields ever.
And also in medical devices. So we had
Yes.
done one session on that. So if you are interested, probably you could watch the video on YouTube as well. We had done a session full-fledged on that, and diagnostics and medical devices is something wherein your kind of qualification might be preferred.
Okay, sir.
So do
But
check
yeah,
out.
some of my seniors are also into regulatory affairs. So I was just interested, and the skills that you that were there in your presentation, I think I can connect with those skills.
So,
Okay.
So
if
my question.
if that is the case, then I'm sure Naveen will agree that, if you want to, if you can give 100% in the domain that you are trying in, then just go for it. Don't wait.
Yes. If you really have made up your mind to get into regulatory affairs, I would say please do. But be sure that you are aware of the technical guidelines. The technical, the technical knowledge and the technical expertise is what actually makes up for your base or your foundation per se. Just the soft skills alone doesn't, as I said, your soft skills are really important, but your soft skills are would really be useful only if you are technically sound. So I would always say, try to sharpen your knowledge on formulations and how pharma industry works. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Naveen, and thank
Thank
you,
you.
Archana, for that. So we have next one, Gaurav Sain. I'm giving you the unmuting right, Gaurav. So please unmute and then you can ask. Gaurav,
You're still on mute.
you can unmute and ask.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes,
Gaurav, tell
Gaurav.
me. Tell us.
Hello.
Hello.
Looks like some
Yes.
problem with
Good
his
afternoon. Good
network.
afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Yes, Gaurav.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
tell.
Sir, actually, I want to ask, sir. Actually, मैं M Pharmaceutics से कर रहा हूँ, Pharmaceutics से.
Okay.
तो आपने जैसे कि बताया कि M Pharm प्रेफर रहता है, तो सर स्टार्टिंग का एक्सपेक्टेशंस क्या रखे सैलरी के लिए?
That is what I said. 2 लाख से 4.5 लाख तक हो सकता
एक्चुअली
है
सर
आपका.
जब
2 to 4.5 lakhs is what you can
ठीक
expect
है,
as a
और
starter.
सर ये जॉब ढूंढे कैसे, मतलब किस वे में ढूंढे? एक्चुअली
Try
वैकेंसीज
to
का कभी
connect.
कभी पता नहीं चलता बहुत बार.
LinkedIn में देखिए, नौकरी में देखिए. All the places we do post. I do have some requirements. Of course, I do not have requirements for freshers. I have requirements for someone with at least 3 years of experience. Unfortunately, as and when there are opportunities that open up, you can always apply.
So Gaurav, what you can do now, if you are listening to us, you can reach out to me. You might have my phone number or the email ID, and then send an email to me or a message, no problem. And then we'll see what we can do for you. Okay, so don't worry about it. And thank you, Gaurav, for that. And the next is Amukta. Amukta, you can please unmute and ask.
Hi, sir. This is Amukta. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for the presentation and for the information you have given today. And my question, as actually Gaurav has already asked the question, it's regarding the how to identify the interviews and how to crack the interviews and how to get into a company. This is a big problem we often face, like how to actually find.
First and foremost, I would say, what should I say? If you ask me as a recruiting manager, I would say have all the technical skills first and foremost. Okay. And secondly, try to put everything in a story format. Like whenever you're talking, I'm talking about only cracking the interview, not showing certain or not portraying things that you have not done. Because as an interviewer, we can always catch a person who is trying to make up a story. So I would always say connect it to a day-to-day activity that you have done. If you are as I said, regulatory affairs is a profession where you need to do this and this. So try to connect how you have portrayed those qualities in a form of a story as what you have done. So that is something very, very important. It is important not only for a fresher, but even as the most experienced person in the profession also really needs to, learn to correlate with everything that they have done and they are doing. So try to, if you are claiming on something, try to correlate it with the day-to-day story that you, day-to-day activity that you have actually done. When I say, hey, I have troubleshot on say coming up with the manufacturing site audit or something like that. So we did when you must have actually gone through it, that you might have observed the very fact that I narrated a story behind it. When I said, my QA manager called me and this is what happened. So that was something that I did, and that is what I have portrayed to you guys. So that really brings out the real you there. So that is what is really important.
Absolutely. Thank you, Naveen. And to all the participants here who have the same type of questions in mind, okay, do attend our next session on February 5th. So it will be all about job search strategy. And I'll be taking that session along with another speaker. I'm still, hunting for that speaker.
Okay.
If Naveen can volunteer, nothing like it. I would love to be,
Okay.
have Naveen on that. So let's
Okay,
see.
I'll get in touch with you offline.
Yeah,
Post
we'll
this.
discuss. We'll discuss.
Yeah,
I'm still,
yeah.
hunting for another one. So if, I don't get anyone, I'll do that session for you.
Yeah, sure.
So February 5th, 2 p.m., please join us and we'll, guide you about the basic job search strategy. So thank you for asking that question. And thank you, Naveen, for giving the insights. So next question would be from Surya Prakash. Surya Prakash, you can please ask the question.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes, very much.
Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Myself because I'm from Mumbai. Sir, I have done my B.Pharm in 2018, and after that I have worked for a hospital pharmacist 2 years. Okay, and after that I joined M.Pharm in regulatory affairs. So I just want to know, sir, what basic knowledge should be there and what technical knowledge means. So there should be a compilation of those here, or say guideline, or मतलब और क्या क्या सर मतलब basic knowledge सर रहना चाहिए मतलब.
You have already joined your M.Pharm in regulatory affairs, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you've already joined your M.Pharm in regulatory affairs, have the patience, I would say, and try to learn, try to master all the subjects that are being taught to you. Point number one, and do your project very, very sincerely. Whatever project you are going to do in your final year, do it very, very sincerely, not just for the sake of marks, but for your own betterment.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. And another best option that you could do is talk to your, professors and lecturers, and also your seniors who might be already in regulatory affairs, doing some good jobs in some company. So talk to them and they'll be definitely of great help. So thank you, Surya Prakash, for asking that. And we'll go for the next question. That will be from Maz Khan. Maz, you can please unmute and ask. Maz Khan, if you can hear us, please unmute and you can ask the question. Okay, no problem. So
I think we can go with Archana Vikram. She has raised her hand for a long time now.
Yes. Archana ji, you can ask the question.
Yeah, hello, sir. Hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, so as you said, I completed my master's in biotechnology. That was way back in 2008. Currently, I'm working for an organization who provide offshore services related to the pharmaceutical companies like master data, really for small molecules and large molecules.
I'm sorry, Archana, we lost you in between.
We lost your voice in between, so please repeat.
Yeah, is it audible right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm currently working for an organization who provides the services, offshore services for the pharmaceutical companies like release data, pharmacopoeial compendial affairs, stability, sample plan, and master data related things for both small molecules and large molecules. So I'm basically into the stability team, working for both SM and LM. So I do know the basic of ISAGE guidelines, but digging more into stability, I landed upon with regulatory affairs, and that got me more inquisitive about picking up a career in RA. So currently, I enrolled myself for a postgraduate diploma in regulatory affairs. So would it be possible for me to just look into job opportunities after this?
Yeah, yes. See, I would always say, of course, it's a new phenomenon which is happening. So I would always encourage folks with strong technical skills to try to explore newer opportunities. So to be very frank, regulatory affairs is not the ultimate thing. So it's like, changing careers is not something that used to be uncommon in within India, but nowadays it's quite common. So I would say you can always try out on that. Even I'm not so sure how long I might continue in regulatory. If something else catches on and really it really sits in my mind, that this is something that I can do and I have the talent for and I have the passion for, definitely I might end up changing my career. So nobody stops you from changing your career lines at any point. That's for sure, Archana.
Absolutely, well said, Naveen.
Yeah.
So Archana ji, any question, any other question you have, or we can continue?
No, I think she's on mute.
Okay. So next question, Vidyashri, if you can unmute and then ask. Vidyashri.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
Vidyashri.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I'm having around 19 years of experience overall. I'm working for Cipla, and as of now, I'm a reviewer. I was into documentation for around 8 years, like preparation of specifications, and now I'm interested in joining regulatory affairs. So how do I channelize myself? And
so what reviewer are you?
Chromatographic, non-chromatographic, all this routine, non-routine, all instrument analysis, even reporting, and I'm also a part of lab QA now.
Okay.
QA review.
Okay. That's a thing that of course you could try to get into within your current organization itself. You could try to get into something into regulatory to for starters, I would say, because you have so many years of experience. So I would say try to at least volunteer or do it over and above what you're doing currently. I know your time may not actually permit you, but you could actually request your manager and probably somebody else in the regulatory affairs department to give you some chance to start off with. First and foremost, that is what I would suggest to anybody and everybody, that if you're already working somewhere and you already have significant years of experience, I would always say please go ahead and try within your present day organization or join an organization in a role which is related to whatever you're doing currently, but at the same time it also relates to something more than that. So try, that is how you can actually get into it. Because usually what happens is once you have so many years of experience with a particular field, I would always say it what really boils down is it's always easy to mold iron when it is really hot. It means to say a fresher who's coming out of the college, it is much easier. Right. And because someone has and especially in the Indian I would say our thought processes or the way that we have been conditioned is we are always stuck to one particular set of values and set of ways of working. So I would always say try to gain some more knowledge about ICH, USFDA, or not USFDA. USFDA is much more complex to understand, but it's very easy to file dossiers for, I would say. But try to get some knowledge upon EU guidelines or ICH guidelines. That really helps. Vidya.
Yeah, actually, recently I have done a course on regulatory affairs, API and formulation. It's a 6 months course. I completed that course also.
Okay.
So, just wanted to know, how do I channelize and what are the chances of me getting into a regulatory?
See, chances, what really matters is that you really need to sound really knowledgeable. So if you have actually done your postgraduate diploma or whatever said and done, you really need to portray it. You really need to apply it on your day-to-day activities. And whenever you try to there is no one who really stops you from catching up with the folks who are working in regulatory, or earlier we when I started, or probably you and me, both of us, like you are much more senior to me in terms of your industrial experience. So I would say those days we did not have too many options to actually network. Nowadays we have a lot of opportunities, so try to network with folks who can actually get you something. It may not be a purely regulatory kind of a job, but it might be something slightly different from it, but it really would pave the way for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes,
My
yes.
pleasure.
Our pleasure. So thank you, Vidyaji, for asking that, and I hope it was a little bit useful to you. And the best thing that you could do probably is to ask for an help in your own organization. Number one. Number two, network with people on LinkedIn, and those people who are experienced and in regulatory for a long time might see your expertise and experience as a value addition to them, and might reach out to help you out. So you should try networking with them on LinkedIn. That is a very good platform for networking, and we are all connected mostly through LinkedIn right now. So
Yes.
that is how it is, and it is a wonderful platform. So try doing that, and in case you want some more support from us, then we'll more than be happy to help you out. So please do connect. So thank you for that. And so next question would be from Sanket. So before I take up the next question, this is an announcement for all of you. We do these sessions every Saturday at 2 p.m. Okay, and since we have limited resources, and this is like a service that we are doing to the profession, we have limited bandwidth for conducting these resources webinars. Okay, and on Zoom right now we have only 100 capacity. That's the reason I telecast it on YouTube as well. So just in case you are facing problem with Zoom, so please go there and watch it live, and do remain connected so that you know about these sessions on a daily basis, on a regular basis. I keep sending notifications on the Telegram group as well, so you can be part of the Telegram group. We have more than 2,000 plus members on the group, and we get connected through that. Second announcement is, for job search strategy, if you are asking, if you want to ask any question related to job search strategy, please do not ask those such questions right now, because Naveen has already covered a little bit of that, and next session will be covering more in detail about that.
Yeah.
And one more question that is coming in the chat box is, I'll not take up the chat box questions right now. So those who have raised the hand, will give them option to ask the questions first. Then after the questions are over, I'll read out the questions for Naveen from the chat box and also from YouTube. And we'll try to answer all the questions that you have in your mind. So don't worry, stay connected with us. Okay, so next question, Sanket, if you are there, please unmute and ask the question. Sanket.
Yes, sir. I am audible.
Yes, Sanket.
Yes, you are.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I have recently joined Masters in Pharmacy in Regulatory Affairs. So what should be my plan for next 2 years?
To master whatever you are going to learn in the next 2 years. That is the first and foremost thing. And try to do it as sincerely as possible, not just for the heck of it, but actually do it for learning. I would say forget about the job, forget about everything else, but learn it just to learn. So that is something very, very important. And try to network with as many folks as possible. It really helps. Try to read some journals, try to read some guidelines, not just your textbooks or whatever your professor says, but try to read out across various other platforms as well. LinkedIn is a very good platform where you can learn a lot of things in non-regulatory.
Yeah.
I hope that answers.
Okay, so Sanket, was it useful?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Naveen. Okay, so next question, Madhulika, you can unmute and ask the question.
Hello.
Yes, Madhulika.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Firstly, the presentation was wonderful.
Thank you.
So I'm currently pursuing my BTech in biotechnology. So do you think, is it possible for students from biotech background to get into regulatory?
See, there is nothing that really stops you. To be very frank, nothing really stops you. But what really matters is, do you have a why? Why do you want to get into regulatory? Aren't there other, fields that you can actually explore? So try to ensure that you do not enter a particular field without, even researching about it. So I would always say, be sure of your why, and everything else will, span out for you. If you really know your why, and you really know why you want to get into regulatory. See, some people would say, oh, it's a white collar job, you just sit around at one particular place, and you're all day, you're just sending out emails, you're just compiling dossiers. Yes, but the kind of stress that we do face is something that is not really, it would have been better. At times I do feel that I would have been better off in a production environment, where at least my physical energy gets converted there. Here I'm always under stress, and I'm always working and working. So just ensure that you know your why. If you know your why of what you want to do, I'm sure you will pave out everything else for yourself.
Thanks, Naveen, for that, and thanks, Madhulika, for asking that question. I'm sure there could be questions from many participants similar to this. And the question is, because somebody has already joined, so I would also want to join that job. That is one reason why most of us want to join the job. And second is mostly because of the salary reasons. The best thing to identify whether we are a right fit or not is to do a personal SWOT analysis. So SWOT analysis is generally done for the companies, for businesses. But if you Google personal SWOT, you'll get a lot of ideas, and you can do that. And ask your why. As Naveen said, we should always be able to answer why I want to join in regulatory. So do I have the right skills? Do I have the right caliber? Do I have the right confidence? Do I have the right knowledge? If all of that is yes for you, then there is no one is stopping you to try there, right? And there are so many companies today, they're hiring for regulatory professionals, and they don't bother about the qualification. All they want is the right kind of candidate. So if you feel that you are the right kind of candidate, then please don't hesitate, just go for it. Otherwise, when you do a personal SWOT analysis, you might come across some options which are really relevant to your kind of personality, and you might be interested in there. Since you are from biotechnology background, you could also try in biosimilar industry, which is picking up in India right now. So a lot of biotechnology companies.
Especially with the COVID situation, I think a lot of biotechnology companies have started investing in their biosimilars platform. Manoj, if you don't mind, I just need to connect my charger. I'll just get it.
Please do that. Please do that. Yeah. Yes, so you could try doing trying in biotechnology companies. We have many biotechnology companies, depending on your location where you are right now. And if you are trying to relocate to another state, or if you're trying to come into Bangalore and try, you could try even in Biocon, for example. They do hire a lot of biotechnology guys. So I hope we could answer that. Next, Harika, you could unmute and ask the question. Harika, if you want to ask the question, Naveen will be back in a moment. Don't worry, you can continue. Okay, so Harika doesn't want to ask. Next is Data Hari. Sorry, I may not be pronouncing the name correctly. So is it Data Hari? If you want to ask the question.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Data Hari.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very much.
Yes, sir. My question is common with everyone question.
Okay.
As I said, I am a pharmaceutical student. I just taken admission.
Mm-hmm.
So Uh, Hello, sir.
Yes, yes, please continue. I can hear
So
you.
what can I do? What can I do to get a job in RA after completion of my master
Yeah,
in
so
pharmaceutics?
if
What should I
you
learn in those 2 years?
okay, so did you attend the entire presentation or you joined in between?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You attended the entire presentation. So perfect. So the best thing that you could do is to right now master whatever you are studying. So if you are studying pharmaceutics, please master pharmaceutics. Okay, everything that is there in the syllabus, and also connect with people who are in pharmaceutics department. And if you want to make a career in get into a career in RA, for example, then try connecting to people like Naveen on LinkedIn. And there are hundreds
Okay,
and
sir.
thousands of people in RA. Okay, do a personal SWOT
Okay,
analysis. I already told you can do a personal SWOT analysis as well, and then try to find out where you want to go. Once you have decided, then don't stop. Just continue connecting to right people and continue learning the right skills, because today everything is related to skill and the caliber that you carry, right? So companies are hiring people who have the right skill, right attitude, and the caliber. So if you get that, you are there. Okay, so I hope I
okay.
could answer
So
that.
one
And
more question, sir.
yes, Naveen is back. You can ask the question.
Uh,
Naveen,
I wanted to ask Naveen,
you
sir.
are on mute, Naveen. You are on mute. Okay, just give me a moment. I can't see you. Let me see if I have to. Naveen. Okay. Yes, Naveen.
Yes, I'm back. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm
I'm
making
so
you
sorry.
co-host. That's fine.
Yeah.
So yes, there was a question that was happening. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes, you can ask Naveen. Naveen is back.
Yes, please.
Naveen Kumar, sir.
Hmm.
Thank you, sir. Your good presentation. My question is regarding RA. Sir, you said that RA is a white collar job. So why would you call this white collar job?
First of all, you need to understand what is a white collar job and what is a blue collar job. So traditionally most of the folks who are actually working in an industry, inside of an industry, inside of a production environment, used to wear a blue colored uniform. So they used to have a uniform. So most of the times anybody who actually wears a uniform and does a particular type of work, those kind of jobs were called as blue collar jobs. And anybody and everybody who are outside of that, who don't wear a uniform. So when you are in a production unit, you always wear a uniform. There is a certain uniform that you need to wear inside wherever you are getting into whenever you are getting into the production unit. But when you are trying to get into the corporate side of it, we do not wear a uniform. So that is why it is called as a white collar job. So it is a white collar job. And we do not work from the premises of a factory most of the times. Of course, there are companies where regulatory affairs is a part of their the production unit itself. So there are like that is also there, but ideally this is the main reason.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Datta, and thank you, Naveen, for answering that. So next is from Monu. You can unmute and ask. Monu. Monu.
Hello.
Sen. Yes, Monu Sen.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, very
Yes.
much.
So, good afternoon, sir. Sir, basically, my name is Monu, and right now, sir, I'm pursuing my master in regulatory affairs. And thank you for this wonderful session. It was a great, and you have given us wonderful knowledge about regarding this DRA. And
Yeah.
sir, my question is basically, sir, right now I'm in third sem of RA, and I'm looking for some internship, sir. So my question regarding this internship, how we can get an internship in top-notch MNC like Parexel,
See,
like Acquia,
now I
like
would
this.
come to that. Don't target for something like top notch. Okay, so I would always say that. Okay,
Yes, sir.
just because you get your internship in the top notch company doesn't mean that your job is guaranteed there. Point number one.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I would always say for starters, say I would say, the largest company in the entire world as of today, which makes a lot of money and everything, I would say Google. So if your first job itself is Google, then where will you go next? Who will give you that kind of salary? Who will give you that kind of learning? Who will give you anything that Google offers you?
Right.
Google, Microsoft, or any of those things.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Don't be in the thing of always trying to start very big. Start small. It doesn't really matter. It does pave your path to different other kind of things.
Concentrate on the learning. The earning will happen automatically.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monu. Thank you so much. Yeah. So Ajinkya, you are next. Please unmute and then ask the question.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Sir, my name is Ajinkya Malpe and I am doing Pharm in quality assurance right now. I want to ask that I should join drug regulatory affair directly after post graduation, or I should do.
As I said, nobody stops you. Nobody stops you from joining, regulatory affairs. What really stops you is your confidence level, how self-driven you are, and as I said, with anybody and everybody else, why do you want to get into regulatory affairs?
Sir, can I work for 1 to 2 years in quality assurance and then I should join a drug regulatory affair, which will be the better option?
See, anything is fine. Anything is fine. But your only thing is, why do you want to get into regulatory affairs? Figure out that first.
First, you ask yourself, this
Yeah.
is for everyone again, all of us, who are attending here. Please ask that question, why you want to get into regulatory. Write at least 5 or 10 reasons as to why you want to get into a regulatory. If the reasons are so convincing and, it matches your skills, caliber and learnings, knowledge, everything, then yes, you are there. You would nobody is stopping you to try in RA. And not just RA,
any field for that matter.
Yeah.
Though I am a person with the specialization in pharmaceutical chemistry, but I would say I'm much more stronger in pharmacology than in pharmaceutical chemistry, to be very frank.
Absolutely. And same probably I not say I'm an expert, but then despite doing in pharmacognosy, I've been in medical writing for 15 years or 16 years now. So it all depends on us basically. How do you want to shape up? So thank you, Ajinkya. We hope we were able to answer that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Himanshu, you're next. Go on.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
I met with one of my senior. He has 6 years of experience in regulatory affairs, and he said that not much scope in regulatory affairs, and एक पॉइंट पर आकर आप फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाते हो, ऐसा उन्होंने कहा था.
फ्रस्ट्रेशन कहाँ पे नहीं है मेरे दोस्त?
घर पे फ्रस्ट्रेशन नहीं है, आप ट्रैवल करते हो वहां नहीं है, जब आप पढ़ रहे हो वहां पे नहीं है. Stress levels are everywhere, but how are we able to manage is important.
Yeah, that's what matters at the end of the day.
And you should also think about it. किसी ने 5 साल 6 साल के बंदे ने आपसे बताया, Naveen is in the industry for 15-16 years now. And I know Naveen for almost 21 years now.
Yeah.
So when I saw such a senior person is saying that it has so much of scope and opportunities, you have to concentrate on your learning first and then concentrate on the companies that are recruiting you. I'm sure it will be a win-win situation for both, because companies want a person who is perfect, not in terms of look and feel, but in terms of knowledge and skills. That person who can match the requirement of the company, and the person needs a company that can satisfy in terms of salary, compensation, and an opportunity, right? So 3 things.
At the end of the day, job satisfaction. How satisfied are you doing? How satisfied are you doing what you do? That is very, very important.
Absolutely.
See, हर जगह पे आपको frustration तो होगी ही होगी. If somebody says, if your friend or your senior says that, you know, there is no scope, let him leave regulatory. Why is he, you know, stuck up with regulatory? He can always go back to QC, QA, anything. Nobody's stopping them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if somebody is frustrated, then you better don't take the advice. My suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Naveen, for that note. Niranjan, you are next. Please unmute and ask.
Thank you, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes,
yes, you are.
Sir, is B.Pharm enough to get into regulatory affairs or any other pharma jobs?
See, I mean, as I said during my presentation itself, how self-driven are you? अपने आप से आप क्या क्या कर सकते हो? Are you self-driven? That is something very, very important. आप किसी और के कहने पे चलते हो कि आप अपने कहने पे चलते हो? अपने कहने पे भी चलते हो तो are you really logical? Are you really, you know, apt to that particular situation? That really matters.
Yeah.
आपको, you know, if you really want to get into, you know, regulatory or for that matter, you know, any of the, you know, CROs or any of those kind of industries, I would always say, hey, first and foremost, be presentable. Present yourself in the best possible way. Be confident in what you are saying, and you know, maintain integrity. That is something very, very important. Be ethical. Don't lie. सच्चाई बोलोगे तो आपको डरने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. जो होगा सो देखा जाएगा. खत्म.
बराबर, बिल्कुल.
Yeah.
Thank you, Naveen, and that is very important. You know, I'm sure all of us need that.
Yeah.
Next, Shiv Prasad Khose. Please unmute and ask. Shiv Prasad.
For such a good.
Your voice is breaking.
Your voice is breaking, buddy.
Yeah. So we'll come back to Shiv Prakash. Maz, you can continue. Maz, you are there. If you want to unmute and ask.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Yeah. So, sir, this is Maz. I'm pursuing actually B Pharmacy from MS Rama University of Applied Sciences, Bangalore. And by the God gracefully and by your guys' blessings, I'm gonna get my registered pharmacist license in another 3 to 4 months. That I'm gonna complete my graduation. And it's like actually I have to become the appreciable like kind of parrot. So yeah, I'm one of the university topper. So actually being the topper is totally different thing, and being into but actually the things were that I'm where it as the chaos is going in my mind. Being the topper of such a good college, but still I'm at the low position right now where actually I want webinar like you guys are doing. And a very special thank you to the Manoj sir as well as Naveen Kumar sir for enlightening our soul into this. As being the budding pharmacist, we actually need this kind of webinars and things so we can get a clear outlook for what we are looking for. So as my college has already started with the placement, so initially I want to start with Manoj sir. Sir, as I got to know, you are a medical coder.
Medical writer.
Medical writer. Okay, fine. So, sir, actually we got one OG Healthcare. I hope you know about this. We got the placement opportunity from the OG Healthcare. We are actually providing with the medical writer. They wanted us a medical writer. I given up the examination of that, like a small aptitude test. We are heading with the results in another few weeks. So actually, sir, how it would be useful if I go into the medical writing? What's your own perspective? What makes you to fantasizing regarding this?
Okay, so for a medical writer, there are few basic requirements that you have to have. One is, this is for you, you have to ask yourself. I'm no person to judge you. And the first and most important is you have to have the knowledge of the subject. You know, medical writing, you know, in medical writing, again, you have so many types of medical writing. You know, regulatory writing is one type of writing there, scientific writing. Then you have medico-marketing writing, which mostly I do. Then you have clinical writing, then you have manuscript writing, then you have publication writing. There are so many types of writing, right? So in medical writing, if you know the job responsibility, what kind of job roles you are supposed to do, number one. Whether you read a lot, you have to ask. Whether you analyze, you know, complex information and you can simplify that in a very simple manner for the layman's language, then you have to answer that yes or no. Like for example, I might be reading a review article on oncology or some cancer. Okay, my target audience for that content that I'm writing may be nurse, a pharmacist, a doctor, and a patient. There are 4 different type of audience. So I have to create a content for these 4 different type of audience. My content has to match the requirement of those audience, right? So if it is for patient, it has to be very simple. It has to be, if it is for an oncologist, it has to be complex and then yet informative. If it is for a pharmacist or a nurse, then it has to be in their language, right? So if you have that depth of knowledge for a subject, number one, reading, number two, number three, use of technology, tools like Microsoft processor, searching capability on internet, use of various databases for searching references, understanding complex topics, creating your own content, simplified content. If you have those calibers, then you can definitely get into medical writing. Even if you don't have these calibers right now, absolutely nothing to worry. If you read a lot, if you like to present something very simple, once you have read the content, if you can do that, then that is a field you can choose. You can get into medical writing. Okay, and there are a lot of, depending on the type of medical writing that you get in, like for example, if you are getting into regulatory writing, if you are getting into core medical writing, if you are getting into clinical writing, or if you are getting into publication or manuscript writing, then all of that you have to learn slowly. Okay, so I hope I was able to answer that.
Yeah, sir, I'm pretty satisfied with the words because right now I'm just a budding pharmacist, so I just have a basic knowledge of the subject. I don't know much about this, so this
Okay.
is a platform where I can explore my knowledge and get the knowledge with the same frequency. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Now,
And for you, Maz, and for all others who are attending this, we have done more than 20-30 sessions on different topics: regulatory, pharmacovigilance, medical writing, medical affairs. You can just check on YouTube, and then I have also sent the link on in the chat box. You can just go there and see what has happened is there are more than 5,000 plus people who are connected and who have attended these sessions. Practically, it is not possible for me to send messages and connect them about these webinars every time. So my suggestion is either be part of the Telegram group where there is no limit. I have already 2,000 plus members in that. So once single notification I can send you, connect to all of you. Or secondly, you may also subscribe the YouTube channel. So what happens whenever we go live or put something, you get notified. So what happens is any new knowledge that goes into the channel, you might be benefited with. So every week we do these sessions, and the simple objective is to connect with pharmacy professionals who are confused about the opportunities which is there in the industry and the pharmaceutical domain or the healthcare domain. To connect with such pharmacists, we are doing this. So I hope I was able to answer that, and you can connect with me later on or with Naveen. So anybody who is attending this session right now, you'll get a LinkedIn link of Naveen and mine link. You may connect there, and you can also explore different opportunities with us, working as an intern or something like that. Probably we can discuss later on. So you may continue asking the question with Naveen, because Naveen has to answer a lot of questions today. There are still 6 people who have raised hand, and there are so many questions in the chat box as well. So let's answer. Naveen, we'll try to close.
Yeah.
We are close to 4 o'clock. We'll
Yeah.
try to close in next, say, 15 minutes or so max.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, Maz, go on.
So thank you, sir. Actually, sir, as I told you, I'm being a budding pharmacist, and I explored the knowledge with my teachers, with my professors who actually know me from the long time. So they are telling, I did my internship in the 2 pharmaceutical company, and what I got that I'm not the person who just stick to the pharmaceutical company. I could not able to just work my ass off regarding QA, QC. Okay, sir. So what I got to know from my teachers, and as I'm seeing my seniors also, and what I'm analyzing through the channelized, that pharmacovigilance, regulatory affairs, clinical trials, research analysis, these are the things which are actually emerging in India. And as well, these are all the things which also where the IT hubs are taking on this platform. Like if you talk about right now, I'm just given the Tuesday batch, I given the pharmacovigilance test for TCS, and I'm starting with the Accenture. So, sir, actually, what you feel, what Naveen sir makes you fascinating after B Farm doing you MTech in pharmaceutical company ended with the regulatory affairs? I don't think there is any proper connection. As if I mean to say that you took B Farm first, then opted for MTech, then landed in this. So I don't think so. There is a linear chain accounting to all this stuff.
Yes. So see, Maz, that is where, today's technology and networking comes into play. Whether I would like to, accept it or not, I belong to the older generation, to be very frank. Okay. And we did not have this kind of opportunity of, having internet at, at any time. As of today, I have a smartphone and I'm connected to internet all the time. I know, what to do. And if I need to do something, I know, I do a thorough research on it, then I do certain things. So as I said, during the presentation itself, I did mention that, I had this quest for, designing of drugs and getting into, the research and development part of it. So that is the main reason why I got into MTech, and that is where I even learned something on computer-aided drug design, and I was on the verge of actually patenting at least the substrate or the starting molecule for, probably it might have been a blockbuster. I don't know for sure, but I was on the verge. At least, on the computers, I was able to, design a particular molecule which was a great painkiller, at least, in terms of spams and those kind of things, I would say. So it I was on the verge of doing that, but at some point, I because of various reasons, I could not continue with that. Point number one. Then I did, try out at a lot of places. As I said, my career is a lot of my career is by chance than by choice. At least you guys have the ability to, browse over the internet, connect with folks everywhere, and at least you have these kind of platforms. During our times, we did not have such a thing. Okay, I wanted to get into drug designing, and there was only one or probably only two companies within India, and especially in Bangalore, there was just one company called Cellworks, which was involved in computer-aided drug design. And in fact, I did attend an interview with them. To be very frank, at the time when I was actually looking out for a job, they did not call me for an interview. Point number one. And when they did call me for an interview, I was already into regulatory affairs, and it was almost 1 year. And I started actually liking what I really did there. Okay, in terms of a regulatory professional, I started liking whatever I did. So that was one of the main reasons. Okay. And by the time they did call me, I did go for an interview with the Cellworks. I did get selected, and they were not going to take me as a junior, the junior most person, but the position next to that. So I was quite happy, but at the same time, the salary also was pretty lucrative. But then I came back home. I I have my brother who's like, my more of a mentor than just a brother. Then as Manoj bhai said, I did a personal SWOT analysis, as to where my strengths lie and why do I really want to get into that. And considering the fact that Cellworks was the only company, and probably there was one more company called Nicholas Piramal. It was called as Nicholas Piramal, but by that time, when I joined and things happened, they were kind of, they had broken up, and they were into, it became only Piramal. And they got into more of their company was into, not into any of the novel drugs, but they were also trying to get into the generics bandwagon. So I said, if I were to limit my career with only with two companies, it's like, getting into Google at the beginning of your career. So after Google, what? At the max, you can get into Microsoft, or at the max, you can get into Tesla as of today. Only three companies you have. So what next? Right? Or maybe probably, Facebook. So 4 companies. So how long can you sustain in one particular company?
True.
That is something that I really needed to think of. So and I did get an opportunity into QA. I did get an opportunity to corporate QA. As I said at the beginning of the seminar itself, that my career was more of chances. They said, you have to join after 1 month, or probably, there was a time period, and these guys were the ones who gave me, the next week, the coming Monday you need to join. So I appeared for my interview on 28th of 25th of October. 28th I got my appointment letter, and 1st of October I joined. Sorry, this was in the month of September. 1st of October I joined, and the very next year was a holiday. So I remember that very very nicely. So this is how it came to me. So at least you guys don't have that kind of a thing, that at least you have a lot of opportunities to network. In my days, at least, whenever I used to get into LinkedIn, I used to get only spam messages. It made no sense to me, to be very frank. I was connected to one Mr. I do not remember his complete name. He was the head of the R&D at Biocon, and he was the only person whom I had in my contact list who was per se very established. Everybody else was either a classmate or a person who was just 1 year senior to me. So probably we were all more or less, we were all sailing in the same boat. So at the very beginning, I really thought of actually changing my career at many points in time. Then I actually did, every time I got that kind of the urge to change or something, I did a SWOT analysis, and I found that yes, this is something that I really like doing. So I stayed back.
Perfect. Yes.
Yep.
So your chances, or by chance, made into land with the interest field you are enjoying right now.
Yes. As of today, to be very frank, it all matters on how you are making use of technology. I have come across a person who was like from 8th standard onwards, she was very much dedicated to becoming a CA. And she concentrated only on becoming a CA, and she knew why she wanted to become a CA by the time that she joined class 9th. And by at the end of class 12, she joined BCom blindly. She joined in one of the better colleges, which was closer to her place. She did not go for any coaching or anything, but she concentrated on all the subjects all by herself. And at the end of 3rd year, she gave her CA exam. She cracked it in the first attempt, and she became a CA. So that is where we are as of today. So if people can actually make use of technology the right way, I think it really matters.
Yes.
Not just Facebooking, blindlessly Facebooking. Even on Facebook, you have lot many leads. Even if you are into business or something, there are lot many leads on Facebook, on LinkedIn. So you can always search for opportunities and search for things that really helps you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, about to end my question, the last question is that, as being just a bachelor degree, is it important to just go ahead with the post graduation, or I should go experience with the job initially?
It all matters what you want to do. To be very frank, once you start getting money in your pocket, you may stop studying.
Absolutely. Yes, this happens.
At least in terms of gaining a professional degree, or actually putting in time and devote your time to study for a particular exam or something, you might lose it. For example, I myself have lost it for lot many things. But then again, I am trying to get those very skills through. Without that particular certification, I am equivalent to those very certifications. So
yeah, but for getting into the company, you do need the certificates. That is important.
Yes, that is very important. Once you are in the company and you are able to fine tune and you are able to do things, yes,
absolutely. So the thing is, if you do not want to study and you want to earn, then you just earn. Otherwise, if you want to study, please study now itself.
Yes.
Because once you get into the job, then getting into studies is not easy. It's tough.
It's tough. You need a lot of willpower to do that.
Yes, there are people who are doing it, but then it really requires a lot of willpower and support from the family.
Yes. Yeah, the ultimately support from family is very, very important. You cannot just take a break for 2 years and say, no, I'm not going to earn. And especially if you get married and you're like, I'm going to take a break for 2 years, gone case.
Absolutely.
So I'm done with my question. It was pretty satisfied, and whatever I have going in my mind, I got all the answers. Thank you, both of you. I'm just expecting a
Our
mail,
pleasure.
any social platform, so we can connect you over there also, both of you, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Since you have registered, you'll be getting the recording of this session and also LinkedIn link of Naveen and mine. You could connect there and discuss with us. And also, you could watch so many past recordings of our
Yes.
on various topics. You'll get a lot of ideas, and please decide wisely. That is important.
Thank you so much, sir. We are expecting you to ahead also. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Yeah. We will do a lot more.
Yes, we would definitely. Yes.
We'll try to get more folks as well on this platform and try to, address as many things as possible for every single person out there who's, trying to get a job into the pharma industry. Yeah.
Absolutely. So next question, Harika, you had to wait a lot, but then please go on.
Hello, sir. I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
very
you
much.
are.
Loud and clear.
Okay, firstly, I would like to thank you for your great session.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, currently I'm doing my master's in DRA. My question is this DRA is useful in courses like SAS, CDM, or PV?
Now, again, I would ask you why. Why do you want to do that? Plus, first and foremost, be sure of why you want to do certain thing. And that is something that you need to do. Of course, any kind of technology, add-ons are really appreciated. But on a day-to-day sense, in terms of regulatory, I would say just basic MS Office, being very, very proficient in MS Office is more than enough for you. Yeah. SAS and all that, yes, it does really help. But which form of regulatory affairs do you want to get into? Do you want to get into the clinical regulatory? Do you want to get into the CMC regulatory? Do you want to get into the IT regulatory? There are so many different versions of regulatory itself.
Yes. And once get into one type of regulatory, you anyways will get the basic training there.
Yeah.
So, it's better you don't get into so much of training, learning there. Concentrate on the topic or the subject that you are actually in, and then connect with people from the industry. That will definitely help you out. So Harika, thank you. I hope both of us were able to answer that. Okay, so next question is Narzo
50i.
50i, I don't know. Okay. Maybe device it is. So anyways, Narzo, please go on.
You're on mute. We can't hear you, Narzo.
Narzo has unmuted, but somehow we can't hear. Okay, no problem. Amukta, you'd like to ask your question?
Yes, sir. So I was unable to complete my question back then because I was unable to unmute myself.
Okay.
So
yes.
My question is related to SAS itself because as you told before, most of us have entered into this field by chance, and I have entered into pharmaceutical field by chance, and then I have realized what are my interests, and then I figured out that SAS is my interest, and I opted it as my career, and I started taking training on that. Then and also I want to do my master's, so then I realized that I am also interested in pharmaceutical field, and I wanted to go in depth, and then I took master's in regulatory affairs. But SAS is my first priority right now. So sorry. I just want to know how much is SAS important in a pharmaceutical field?
See, I would say, so I'm sorry to, stop you in between. I would say, Amukta, you seem to be a bit confused. So to be very frank, SAS has a lot of opportunity in terms of clinical research organizations, just like Parexel. Okay, we have a lot of requirements for SAS programmers who are, doing a lot of data crunching using SAS and all that. So that is something that you can actually target for. I hope I have been able to make you, like, I've been clear enough.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, I just want to know, like, is regulatory will be an add-on to my course or something?
No, why do you want to diversify yourself so much when you have made up your mind that you want to get into SaaS? Why do you want to get into something else?
No, I just want to understand the fact that how my master is gonna be helpful for my SaaS, because SaaS in clinical SaaS clinical trials, like I heard that in pharmaceutical field.
Yeah, you
SaaS
have done.
is one of
You are doing a master's in regulatory, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you must have learned about the clinical regulations as well world over.
Right now I'm in my first semester, so I didn't get
Yeah,
that
you may
much.
not get it right away, but eventually you will be exposed to clinical regulatory. So
Yes.
try to focus on clinical regulatory and SaaS. Try to get a correlation, get your guide or someone to help you out with that. If they do not have something like that, you can always try out for people out there in the industry, through LinkedIn or some other source. Get into someone who's a SaaS programmer and try to network with them. Try to find out if you can do a project in their company. There are a lot many opportunities for you.
Yes.
Yeah,
sure.
Yes, and I'm also trying to get somebody for clinical SaaS, because there are many queries I get on clinical SaaS.
Yeah,
I'm reaching out to people, and if I get some some good speaker, probably.
let me also get someone. Let me also try to get someone.
Yeah, please do that.
Yeah,
there are so many queries, so many people, especially all pharmacy students, they're interested to get into clinical SaaS, because they feel that clinical SaaS is something that is very, very essential for their career growth. And I know for sure that there are few people who are doing exceptionally well in this domain. One of our pharmacy, from our own college, he's like, the head of biostatistics department right now in one of the biggest companies in India. So, and getting him is very, very tough. So I can't even imagine getting him in here. He's my classmate, my own BPharm classmate, MPharm classmate, but then I can't get him here. But I'm trying for somebody else. Let's see if we can get somebody, and then we can get more explanations and opportunities with respect to clinical SaaS. So thank you for asking that. And next we'll just have two more questions. Shiv Prasad, please, you can unmute and ask the question.
Yeah, hi sir. Am I audible now?
Yes, very much.
Yeah, so finally. First of all, thank you so much for the fruitful session. It was really interesting. As I was able to relate with my work already. Actually, I had done my master in pharmacy in quality assurance. Then I was desperately searching for a job in regulatory affairs department, and just applying to random companies. And hopefully I got a job in small consultancy for regulatory affairs. Then my journey was started, and I was doing the work of Gulf markets for the dossier filing, then submitting the responses to authorities, ECTD publishing, and everything else. Then I thought of switching to a global multinational company, and hopefully that happened. Currently, I'm working in a global MNC, but I'm now working in a department of post-approval licensing activities for Europe and other international markets. And I'm doing CMC reviews. So I'm thinking of working in this department only for a long journey. So what would you suggest, like working in post-approval department? Actually, I'm doing variations, renewals, and the all other post-approval activities.
So that is what we do. As I said, that is what my team does, at least, as of today. That is what my team is involved in. We are doing only post-approval compliance activities. So that is a long-term thing. Basically, we have a lot of work that comes in. It gives us a lot of business in terms of money, in terms of opportunities. I would say stay current. If you really want to continue in this, I would say stay current with all the guidelines that you are working upon. Be sure about about the big picture. Do not just work your day like just like a donkey, like okay, this is what came in, this is what I will do. I will not go further than this. In my days, whenever when I started my career in regulatory affairs, I was not even given an internet connection. Even when if I have to get an article for say my module 4, module 5 or something related to that, if I have to get some article or something, I had to go and beg someone, literally beg to someone in the business department to get that article. So if you have access to so many things, so instead of just wasting your time and doing something like that, why don't you just pick up some extra knowledge? It really helps.
Absolutely.
That is one thing. And one more thing that I would always suggest is try to get some kind of a certification, say maybe in project management, if at all it really interests you, or something into TOPRA or RAPS or something. Probably you can always try to do that. Of course, TOPRA and RAPS, they do not have as much of value within India, but of course they do have a certain amount of what should I say, the professionals who have done who are TOPRA or RAP certified do have a certain kind of visibility.
Yeah, and my second question was related to the designations, which mainly offers by the global CROs. Like currently, suppose I am working on an associate 1 level, and in my current company, suppose there are levels like 2, 3, and then team leader. But other companies might hire you for the consultant positions, or something different other positions. So how would you judge these positions based on your experiences? Like, what position should we go for?
So I don't remember this saying by Shakespeare, but if rose is called as something else, it still smells the same, right? Do you have the qualities to become a team lead, to become a manager, to become a leader? You need certain qualities. If you have those qualities, irrespective of whether you are associate 1 or bucket 1 writer or whatever you want to call yourself, at the end of the day, if you really have that in you, there is nobody who can stop you, right?
Yeah. And another point here I would like to add, Naveen, for many pharmacy professionals, they feel designation is more important than salary. But for most of them, say 99% of them, they feel salary is more important than designation. So choice is yours. So whichever company offers you better designation with salary, if you want to go with them, please go with them. If you want a salary, then you stay with the current organization and continue giving your best. So that was the added point.
Yeah. And one more thing I would always say, of course, salary and designation are something, that really, entices all. But at the end of the day, are you really satisfied doing what you are doing?
But that is, something which comes secondary today. No one really bothers about it. And then,
yeah, but I would always ask everyone to please bother about your job satisfaction. But because, we remember somebody else had come and said that, there is a lot of frustration in regulatory, there is no scope. So if you're not, so it means that that particular person, whoever made that comment, doesn't like his job. So let him quit and let him change his career. Let him go to any other.
Yes.
Yeah,
start
that's
over
it.
and try something different. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Shiv Prasad, and thank you, Naveen, for that note and answer. Now, last question, will be from Ninad, and then I'll ask 2 questions to Naveen, and we'll close.
Yeah.
So Ninad, please ask the question.
Hello, good afternoon, all of you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Ninad.
Hope you all are doing well, sir, in such pandemic situation.
Yes, we are. Doubly vaccinated.
Yes, sir, I'm also, sir.
And wearing masks all the time.
Yes, sir. I'm also working with DRA as a regulatory associate level 2 in Direct Pharma Private Limited, Gurgaon in Delhi. My question is regarding the variations department. Could you please say something about the variations life cycle management and publishing team and publishing department?
See, I never intended to make this, this particular platform to be, so very specific about, so many things. But just to let you know, Ninat, I would say, there is no job which is, better than something else. What really matters is are you really interested in it? That is point number 1. And of course, owning the house is one thing and maintaining the house is another thing. So owning the house, you just buy the house just once and finished. But at the end of the day, every year, every month or every week, or for that matter, every day you are buying something for the house, right? So that is where that is very much similar to what maintenance of a drug product is, or maintenance of a drug product license is all about.
Yes, sir.
So I would say it is as important as initial filings, and depending upon where you are applying it, it really matters. Say for example, I am currently looking for someone who's very good at variations, but tomorrow if my project and if my client demands that I need someone with the initial filing experience and I need to go with only initial filing kind of things, I will hire for those positions. As simple as that. And publishing, of course, is a part of regulatory, but it comes at the end stage. So publishing is a different department altogether. So there you are just I won't say just, but rather there is a lot more intricate and a lot of patience and much more into details than regulatory that is required, but that is on the textual level than in terms of the technical level. In regulatory, we look at it from a very technical point of view, whereas in case of publishing, they do it from a textual level. That is, where to put a hyperlink, which file to be hyperlinked where, which file to be uploaded into which section, and those kind of things. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ninad, and thank you, Naveen. So with this, we come to the end of the questions from the virtual hands. But there are two questions that are there in my mind, and there is another third question that is on YouTube. So one question that is most commonly asked, from the pharmacy students is, what if I do a course or a short-term course in regulatory affairs? Will it help me get a job? Because today, thanks to COVID, we have so many, e-learning modules and so many courses that have come up. And, people promise so many things in those courses, we really do not know. So as an industry person, what is your view on this, Naveen?
Again, it's a very, very, very personal view. I won't generalize this, or I won't, say that it is applicable to the entire industry. For me, what matters as a hiring manager is the fact that that person has the knowledge. That is very, very important. Just because you are certified, or just because you hold a particular degree, does not make you, what should I say? You do not have rights to claim that particular job or that particular field. That is something that I really want to make make it very, very clear. So what really matters is, do you have the qualities? Do you have the knowledge? Can you actually sustain on the long term? I do not hire people based on what they are today, but what they can be tomorrow.
Perfect. Well said. Well said, Naveen. Totally agree with you. And this happened with me very recently. There was a lady who, contacted me saying she has done a course on medical writing, that is worth about 75,000 rupees or 80,000 rupees. And she was not aware of the basics of medical writing. She was not about, basics of literature search, basics of computer, usage. So she had the certificate, but then no basic knowledge. So no company today wants to train the, freshers or even the experience from scratch.
Yes.
All they want is at least the working knowledge has to be there, right? And the working basics has to be there. So if you don't have that, then please do not apply for that job. As simple as that.
Yes.
If you are applying, then please read, understand, learn, and then ensure that you are able to, defend yourself. It's like defending and you're putting yourself as on sale, right? So when you are selling, you are giving the best pitch ever to the opposite person. So when you are telling about you or facing the interview, ensure that you are able to, answer those questions and, able to perform there. And if you don't, then I'm sure you'll be definitely frustrated with that job.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
So and one more thing, Manoj, to just add on, there are, the last time I still remember, when I did this kind of a session, I got a mail from a person saying, just, it was just, plain thing. Naveen, please find my, CV attached. No, not even please find. Attached is my CV for your reference. Kindly refer me to a suitable position. This is what it was. Okay. And so to be very frank, whether you are a fresher or you are an industry stalwart, you need to know the very fact that it's a privilege that the company is giving you. Of course, they are paying you for whatever your time is and whatever you're worth, but it doesn't mean that you have the right to claim a particular position in any particular company.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
absolutely. And so these are very basics. I get
Yes.
emails with nothing, just an attachment, and the attachment will be something like new doc, untitled,
yes,
or
yes,
something like that, and absolutely no mention of whatsoever, no subject is empty, there is no body name.
nothing. I know.
And I really do not know what to do with such emails, right? There are so many times it happens on LinkedIn. It is happening nowadays. And
yes,
if you are reaching out to a person, you have to at least tell him or her who you are, where you are from, what you are doing, and why you want to apply for that position. And then
yeah, and of course how you got that particular person's reference.
That is important.
Yeah.
And you would have written, and when we see, for example, when I see these resumes coming in, they would have written pharmacovigilance, QA QC. There will be no mention of medical writing, but they want to apply for a position in medical
writing. Yes.
Okay, so interest area is something else, but they're applying for something else. So anyways, we'll try to decode all of this next week when we meet
Yes,
at 2
yes.
p.m. Saturday. Let's see how we can explore this.
Yes.
Naveen, thank you so much. There is another one question probably I would like to ask, and this is for all the ladies who have taken a break or who are trying for applying to a suitable position. Do you offer any kind of work from home options? Any companies in RA?
Yes, we do. And in fact, I am proud to say that at least in the recent past, in the last 4 to 5 months, I can say we have given opportunities to at least 6 ladies who had taken a break after getting married, after after their children being born, or after their child being born rather, or there is at least one lady who had taken a break for almost 7 years.
Wow.
And she said she really wants to get into this. But the thing is, what really mattered and what really stuck with me was the fact that she was very, very persistent in her, and she preserved herself, and she actually read through what exactly was required for this particular job. And when she came for the interview, she was thoroughly prepared. And when we asked her any question, forget about answering anything right or wrong, but she knew at least how to convince the interviewers. And based on that, we gave her that opportunity. It's been almost 4 months since she has joined, and I am really proud to say that that she's a part of my team.
Excellent. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
she has proved herself within a matter of 2 months. It took her to just to get the access to the systems and just to get herself onboarded onto the project. And within the next 2 months, she's been getting a lot of appreciations from the project leads, from various other members of the team, from the client, from everyone. So that it all what really matters is the mind block. Sky is the only limit. As of today, sky is the only limit. If you really want to do something, you can always do it, provided you are dedicated and that that is what you really want to do.
Absolutely, totally agree with Naveen. And this is not just with RA. This is for medical writing, pharmacovigilance, and every single domain in pharmaceuticals today. So if you are dedicated, and if you know that yes, why you want to get into that field, so your why is very, very important, and that will define everything about your career. So this is for all those pharmacy professionals who are looking for internships, or who are trying to apply for a job after a break in career. So today career breaks are no more breaks. They are a learning opportunity for you. So you must
make use of it. Yes,
make use of that gap, whatever. And if you are taking a break for the family, nothing like it. Recruiters really love that, and even recruiters do have families, so don't worry about it. All you have to do is to prove yourself and prove the worth of yours, and that will happen only if you have upgraded your learnings. and learnings get upgraded if you are dedicated and sincere. So please do attend our sessions, and this is a small step that we have taken to, help each other. We of course learn a lot during these sessions, during interactions with you. I personally learn a lot, and I could learn so many new topics, new things, and new stuffs. And Naveen has been generous to help, this learning continue. And this was the second session of Naveen, and I intend to bring him again. And there will be one dedicated session only for Q&A, because I have got so many questions on RA specifically.
Yes.
So,
we last time we could not do it. This time, at least, definitely we'll, have a follow-on session.
Yes. So please, Naveen. So this is a request. I'm requesting.
Yes. I'm there for sure.
So whenever you are free, any Saturday, you let me know.
Yes, sure.
And then we'll have one session dedicated only to questions, or the most common questions asked in RA.
Yeah.
So, I have already sent you the feedback link in the chat box. For this is for all the attendees. So if you like the session, do let us know, and this feedback will go to Naveen as well, and it will help us to improve our presentation, and help us to understand the exact need that we have in the pharmacy. So since we don't represent any college or the industry here, we are just common pharmacy professionals who are trying to help other pharmacy professionals, and help them decide better. Okay, so that will be purely a Q&A session, and I'm trying to do a Q&A session for medical writing, pharmacovigilance, and other topics as well. And RA will be the first to start with, because I have documented so many questions on RA.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you so much, everyone. And any final notes, Naveen, before we close the session today?
I would really say thank you very much, Manoj, for making this happen. This was something that I really wanted to do for a very long time now. So it was really really delightful. I'm really delighted to be a part of this your initiative, and hopefully we will be able to collaborate on several more such things, not just on RA, but career progression for pharmacy professionals as a whole, irrespective of which department, which field, what they want to do, or whatever. So whatever we can do, we will keep doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is again for all the participants. If you think of any other topics, please do let us know. And if you also can suggest some speakers, please do let us know anywhere in the world, and we'll try to contact them, and we'll try to get them here.
Sure.
So thank you so much, Naveen, for your time.
Thank you.
And we have we wanted to do it for 1 hour. We have gone almost 2.5 hours now. So thank you so much for your active
My pleasure. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for your time, and for the fact that you've stayed for such a long time. Thank you so much, everyone.
It was a pleasure hosting all of you, and we'll continue learning, continue this learning journey. Every Saturday 2 p.m. is fixed for this. So wherever you are, just block your calendars and do join me and try to learn something new. Okay. So thank you so much, and we'll meet next week at 2 p.m. sharp.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Naveen, and we'll connect offline and plan something.
Bye. Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.